Hi, this is George from the Return of the King channel. This video is a preview to a much more detailed video that will come out sometime in the future. Everything I share with you in this video is my opinion, so keep that in mind as you watch this video. And the dragon stood before the woman who was about to give birth, so that when she bore her child, he might devour it. She gave birth to a man-child, one who was to rule all the nations with a rod of iron. But her child was caught up, harpazoed, raptured to God and his throne. The reason the rapture has not occurred yet is because these verses from Revelation chapter 12, verses 4 and 5, have yet to be fulfilled. This is the view of the heavens at sunrise on the Feast of Trumpets, September 17th, 2023. Jupiter, representing the Christian from the Revelation 12 sign, is in the constellation of the Lamb, Aries. The rapture symbolism found in the account of the 153 fish is now complete. The fish have been brought to Jesus. None of them have been lost. The rapture is an escape from the dragon who dwells in the sea and an escape from the wrath of the Lamb. Mars represents the red dragon. There are 7 objects visible to the naked eye that travel through the heavens, and the only one that is red is Mars. Mars is in the constellation of the woman, but is not yet in the correct location. Venus, the bright morning star, is in the constellation of Cancer, representing heaven. It too is not in the correct location. For the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a cry of command. On the Feast of Trumpets, Jesus, the bright morning star, is still in heaven. On the day the dragon appears before the woman, the bright morning star, Jesus, has left heaven and is about halfway between heaven and earth, symbolizing our meeting with Christ in the air. And the dead in Christ will rise first, then we who are alive, who are left, will be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. Venus, the bright morning star, is no longer in heaven. And the dragon stood before the woman who is about to give birth. Let's just zoom in on the woman. Mars, representing the red dragon, is positioned here. We need to look at the actual constellation and not the artwork. The body of Virgo is here in yellow and the legs are in blue. Within the body or the womb of Virgo is the moon. The woman goes into labor when the moon passes directly in front of the sun. The ancient rabbis believed the moon represented the Messiah and the sun God. Just like you can't look at the sun when it's at its peak brilliance, a picture of God in his glory, you can look at the moon, which reflects the sun's light, and the Messiah, which reflects God's light. Jesus is the light of the world. So if the moon can represent Messiah, Jesus, it can also represent the man-child. They are bridegroom and bride, but they are at the same time together the one man-child, appointed to rule all the nations with a rod of iron. The woman goes into labor when the moon passes directly in front of the sun. This creates a ring of fire eclipse which is visible from the United States. The time it takes from the eclipse to the time the moon leaves the body or the womb of Virgo is between 4 and 8 hours, depending where you are in the world. And the dragon stood before the woman who was about to give birth, so that when she bore her child, he might devour it. The birth occurs when the moon crosses this yellow line, which represents the body of Virgo. The moment it leaves the body of Virgo, which is right about here, it's in conjunction with the star Spica. Spica means ear of grain. It's associated with a harvest. This is from Sky and Telescope magazine, speaking about Spica, the ear of grain. Virgo, Spica's constellation, has many different myths attached to it from various cultures, Greek, Babylonian, Egyptian. But they generally center around 2 common points. Virgo is a woman, and she has something to do with spring, crops, or in some illustrated star charts, Virgo is drawn with a bundle of wheat or some other grain in her hand. This grain marks the location of Spica, which is indeed Latin for ear of grain. This association with harvest may arise because the sun moves into Virgo in the fall. The moon during the next 24 hours will pass by the dragon, Mars. If the rapture follows the pattern of Christ's birth and death, on which days very distinct signs of those events appeared in the heavens, then the rapture happens sometime after the birth, but before the moon goes into conjunction with Mars. If it doesn't occur during this time period, then it's following the pattern of the Revelation 12 sign. It's the fulfillment of the verses about the dragon, and then the rapture occurs sometime in the near future. The rapture is an escape from the dragon. The dragon is the Antichrist and the beast system. The physical structures to perform the satanic rituals used to empower the Antichrist are located in the United States, specifically in Washington, D.C., a dome building and an obelisk. The same structures exist at the Vatican to empower the false prophet. For the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a cry of command. We saw this earlier when the bright morning star departed heaven. With the voice of an archangel, Mercury represents the archangel, and with the sound of the trumpet of God, the sun represents God. When the moon moves in front of the sun, it creates a ring of fire around the moon. When Elijah departed for heaven, a type of the rapture, chariots of fire and horses of fire surrounded Elijah. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. One gets the impression Elijah was surrounded by chariots and horses of fire as he was taken up into heaven. At the moment the woman goes into labor, the moon, representing the bride and the groom, are surrounded by a ring of fire. During the rapture, are we to be surrounded by an army of angels and chariots of fire and horses of fire, as was Elijah? We'll find out soon enough. Again, this video is a small sampling of a much more detailed video to be released in the future. Let me know of any questions you have in the comments section. I will try and address these questions in future videos. Thanks for watching.